When you've been behind the scenes on thousands of events across every kind of organization, you start to notice that the teams running high-stakes leadership events plan completely differently from everyone else. One of the best examples of this is SMARSH, a global leader in digital communications compliance. They run exclusive invite-only events for senior executives from some of the biggest financial institutions in the world at venues like the Edge in New York City. So in this video, I want to break down the behind the scenes of how an event like that actually comes together, from the pre-event build all the way through day of execution, and show you what it takes to pull off a real leadership event at that level. Let's get into it. So the first thing to understand about leadership events is that your guest list changes everything about how you need to plan. When every person in the room is a senior executive from a major financial institution, the tolerance for any kind of friction is basically zero. A slow check-in line, a confusing session schedule, or a badge that looks off-brand tells that audience you weren't prepared for them. Executives have no time for details or speed bumps, so the SMARSH team introduced some of the best practices in the industry to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. Because of that, the operational side of pulling these off is way more involved than what you deal with at a standard event. You've got multi-track sessions where each attendee needs to be in a specific room based on their role and authority. Plus, the branding has to be flawless across every touch point, from the badge they're wearing, to the app on their phone, to the signage in the venue. And all of that needs to work without the attendees ever feeling like they've navigated a complicated system. By the way, if you're running leadership events or any high-stake corporate events and see how a platform built for this level of execution actually works, you can book a demo by clicking the first link in the description. But back to the video. The pre-event build. Now, when it comes to the pre-event build, everything starts with the corporate identity. For SMARSH, that meant every badge, every screen in the app, and every piece of signage had to reflect their exact standards. And while that sounds simple, when you're designing badges for hundreds of senior executives, where each badge type has different access levels and session assignments, it becomes a full production workflow. The entire process goes from design to production to on-site printing, and every single badge needs to match SMARSH's standards, from the fonts to the colors to the layout. Next is the session setup, which is pretty involved actually. SMARSH runs multi-track agendas across their flagship events like Edge and Connect. And the challenge is making sure every attendee ends up with a schedule that's actually relevant to them. So rather than handing someone a printed program with every session listed and hoping they figure it out, the system delivers session recommendations based on who that person is and what they're there for. Which means by the time an executive opens that event app, their agenda is already built around their role and interests. Then the mobile app itself becomes the attendee's entire event experience. It's a fully branded app with personalized agendas, speaker profiles, and live notifications for any session changes or updates. So if a room change happens 20 minutes before a keynote, every attendee scheduled for that session gets notified instantly instead of finding out when they walk into the wrong room. Day of execution. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual day of the event, because this is where all of that planning gets tested. For SMARSH, the check-in had to be completely frictionless, since hundreds of senior executives are arriving at a premium venue during the same window. Any bottleneck at the front door sets the tone for the entire event, so they couldn't afford a traditional registration desk setup. Instead, they used self-service kiosks where attendees scan in, get verified, and have their badge printed right there on the spot. And the result was that 100% of the check-in process was fully automated, which kept the arrival flow moving even during peak time. And when an executive walks in and their badge is ready within seconds, their session assignments with the SMARSH branding on it, that impression is already yours. When the check-in experience is positive, it sets the tone for the rest of the event experience. Now, behind the scenes, there's also a full support team working throughout the entire event that attendees never actually get to see. Dedicated on-site technical support, handling check-in questions, troubleshooting in the moment, and anything else that comes up, so the SMARSH team can focus on hosting instead of managing tech. That's what separates a platform from an actual partner, whether someone is physically there when something needs to get handled right now. Because at an event like this, submitting a ticket and waiting for a response is simply not an option. The results. When you look at what all of this produced for SMARSH, The results speak for themselves. 100% of the check-in process was fully automated through self-service kiosks and instant real-time full-color batch printing. Event app adoption went up 21%, which means attendees were actually using the tool to navigate sessions, connect with speakers, and manage their own schedules instead of relying on printed materials or staff at info desks. And they hit 100% brand consistency across badges, signage, and the mobile app, which is significant when you're running invite-only events at this level. But what those numbers show is that the experience is dialed in. Executives start treating your events as something they block off their calendar for months in advance rather than deciding last minute. Because of that, these events become repeatable at scale, and SMARSH does an excellent job at planning and execution. So instead of starting from scratch for every event, the team refines the experience each time using actual attendee data from the previous one. If you're running leadership events or any high-stakes corporate event program and you want the same level of control over the branding, check-in, session management, and on-site support we built for SMARSH, go ahead and book a demo with your team by clicking the first link in the description. We'll walk you through the full platform and show you what running your next event on Eventcombo can look like for your specific situation. Again, you can book your demo by clicking the first link in the description. And if you want to know what the 8 best event management platforms are right now, then check out the following video.